Good evening, colleagues. And I think first of all, let me welcome Professor Pakeng and our facilitator, Ms. Avela Khuleme. And I think I must actually apologize beforehand because I realized that our poster have misspelled your name. So I must make fun of myself and apologize publicly. so, so those are the sins that we must carry if we don't do due diligence. Welcome to everyone who've taken time to join this webinar. So, and I think first of all, on behalf of BMF, the Prof would like to reiterate, our sympathies to the University of Cape Town, and I think also in relation, of course, to what had happened with the fire that you guys had experienced, I think about 2 weeks ago or so. And of course, I mean, we are extremely indebted to you because we were extremely worried as to those circumstances. What do they make of this program? And I think we are indebted to you for in the midst of everything else, to continue to prioritize us. And understandably, you have got a crisis in the institution that, of course, you are seized with, and correctly so, that you must deal with it. And of course, I mean, like we are extremely excited as BMF to witness your efforts in managing the institution. And of course, we are saddened in that whilst we are watching you and your efforts in making sure that there's aspects of transformation from within the institution, and that then fires then take you backwards, and especially at the center of the university, which is actually the library, the African library. So we're extremely saddened by that, but we are giving our sympathies to you, and we say strength to you. And in that, then, you are granted all the strength that actually you require, and all the wisdom in being able, of course, to restore the university. So we are indebted to you over that. So maybe let me just as well, colleagues, just to introduce also the program. So what we have done is that we have decided that we need to establish a program of this nature, the Memoirs of an Executive. And I think at some point we had actually wanted to say Memoirs of a Black Executive. And so we felt that that is too much giving. And then we felt that, well, look, I mean, let's say then is a Memoirs of an Executive, a program that is going to be an annual program where we of course explore the perspectives of executives, especially Black executives, and also their experiences in terms of all the other attributes that actually we stand for as the organization, insofar as aspects of transformation and dealing with aspects of inequalities. So of course, then we've created a platform to be able to engage with all the executives, and we're indebted to you, Professor Pakeng, in the sense that you are, what do they call it? We are testing the concept with you. Yeah, guinea pig.
Pioneer, rather.
Yeah, pioneer, rather. So we're extremely indebted, then, in a sense, then it's an inaugural session that we're having today, in making sure, of course, that then we get a perspective, insofar as the things that I've canvassed earlier on. But the reason why we do this, of course, is to make sure that we are able to gain an understanding, and also, most importantly, to also celebrate these executives that we've noted, that we are of the view that they are committed into the things that we stand for as an organization, insofar as transformation is concerned. So that then we don't wait up until wrong things happen, and that professor and that executive and the politics that happen in corporate, and then we complain retrospectively. So we don't want to do that. So we want to objectively in a direct manner where we celebrate and give platform to those executives that we are of the view that they are carrying the flag insofar as the thing that we stand for. So, and I think, Prof, you are one of those executives that we honor deeply, and we wish you all the best. And with all the challenges that you are faced up with, even if we might not say it, but we are seeing them. And so we want to carry you and raise you, and then say we celebrate you. And but most importantly, so that then we can also share your own concerns, and but most importantly as well, your own vision in terms of the type of institution that you hope to see eventually when you move to other greener pastures in future. So, and I think then this is then what we hope to be able to canvas and be able then to explore those perspectives. And so we look forward to that. And then I think now, correctly so, I'm going to give it a give over to our facilitator, Avela. Over to you, ma'am. And I think I've spoken way longer than what I said I was going to speak for, because I said I was going to speak for 5 minutes, and I think I've spoken now for about 10. So maybe about I think about 8. So with those few words, welcome, colleagues. So we hope that you enjoy the session and then be able to be inspired as we are. So over to you, Avela. Thanks, colleagues.
Thank you very much, Dumisa, and I want to thank also everyone for joining. I am incredibly excited for this session here today. Prof. Dr. Pakeng is somebody that I have admired from afar for a very long time. And I've certainly been very impressed with her composure and her calm in playing the role that she's playing at UCT, but also in rising to that pinnacle. And I like what you've said, Dumisa, around celebrating. So yes, we have this series which is being launched under the leadership of the Ekurhuleni branch and the support of the Gauteng province. But and it's focused on the memoirs of the executive. It's focused on what we stand for around transformation, but it's certainly also about celebrating people who break ground. And I'm going to keep saying Professor Doctor, because it's a very deliberate act that is speaking to some of the commentary that the professor has been made to endure in the past. So certainly it's somebody to celebrate. And I'm actually going to take the time to walk through the bio and the extensive CV that Professor Dr. Pakeng has. And I really, looking at a little bit at the history and looking at the beginnings. And, I believe growing up in the Pretoria area, born to humble beginnings, but with ambitious and driven parents. With a mother who decided to pick up and go back to school and build herself up and become a teacher. A father who was one of the first, was pioneering in a journalism radio career, and so we see somebody coming from that background, having the inspiration of the kind of mother that Professor Pakeng had, having the background that she has she is a brilliant academic. She is a brilliant, has a brilliant academic background in mathematics and mathematics education, but she is also a Black person and a woman. And so we need to celebrate her rise in the context of the history of our country and in the context of the challenges that we have. And knowing that to get to where she is with that background has been a journey that is not only incredible, purely based on its merits of what it takes to get there, but also in terms of the barriers that she has had to endure, that she has to have nerves of steel actually, to actually push through, calm, and a sense of, I believe, to go through some of what she has gone through, of a bigger vision, bigger perspective, bigger goal, bigger purpose. So to run through this kind of the brilliant story in the history of Professor Dr. Pageng, she began her term of office as Vice Chancellor at the University of Cape Town in July 2018. Prior to that, she had been serving as Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Internationalization, starting in January 2017. I'm sure you will all have seen some of the headlines, some of the celebration, but also some of the pullback that happened around the time of her recently having taken on that initial position and clearly being on the trajectory to becoming Vice Chancellor. Prior to that, she'd served as Vice Principal for Research and Innovation at the University of South Africa for 5 years. And that was after serving 3 years as Executive Dean of the College of Science, Engineering and Technology at UNISA. She holds a PhD in mathematics education from the University of Witwatersrand and was the first woman, Black African woman at the time, to acquire said PhD. She's highly regarded, a highly rated scientist with over 80 research papers and 5 edited volumes published. She's been invited to deliver over 40 keynote plenary talks at international conferences and is a visiting professor in universities around the world. In Australia, Botswana, Brazil, Canada, Denmark. She has won numerous awards for her research in community work, including the Order of the Baobab in silver, conferred to her by the President of South Africa in 2016. 2014, she was named the most influential woman in academics in Africa. And I'm sure that that is something that should be coming around soon, considering that she's leading the best university in Africa and one of the top 10 universities in the emerging markets. In July 2019, the University of Bristol conferred on her an honorary doctorate in science in recognition of her leadership role in mathematics education in South Africa. She is elected as a member of the Academy of Science of South Africa since 2007. She's an honorary member of the Golden Key International Honor Society, starting in 2009. She's a life member of the Association for Mathematics Education of South Africa. And in July 2019, since July 2009, and she's a fellow of the African Academy of Sciences as of 2018. In 2008, she became the first Black South African researcher to be appointed co-chair of a study commissioned by the International Commission on Mathematical Instruction. The study was entitled Mathematics and Language Diversity and was completed and published in 2016. She is a member of the board of the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls, a trustee of the First Rand Foundation, the South African Student Solidarity Foundation for Education, and the Pearson Marang Education Trust. A rich biography that is not just focused on the academic career and the impact that she's been able to have there, but she's also the founder of Adopt a Learner, which is a nonprofit organization that she started in 2004 that provides financial and educational support to students from township and rural areas to help them acquire a higher education qualification. And colleagues, as you can see, this is an incredible CV. And as mentioned, we want to not only hear from Prof. Dr. Pakeng in terms of her memoir, her journey, her leadership lessons, her views on UCT and where she wants to take it as a catalyst for inclusion in a country that is so dearly in need of it, and a city that is highly challenged in that respect, and a system that tends to be exclusive in terms of access to it. So with that introduction, I want to thank again Professor Dr. Pakeng for joining us today and hand over to her for a message of the day, a keynote for this lecture, after which I will happily facilitate an engagement session. We would be keen on it being a very interactive session, engagement, asking questions, drawing lessons, and picking up some of what she'll share just now and building it out. And maybe also we can reflect on some of the ways that we might be able to support the journey that she's making and that the university is making. With that, Professor Dr. Pakeng, I thank you, and I'd like to hand over to you for your keynote.
Thank you very much, Avela. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be with you. I wish we were face to face. So I'm just imagining the people in front of me. And I have deliberately not prepared a script so that you get the real me. You asked me to talk about the story of my career. And I want to start with my favorite part of talking about the story of my career is in talking about the difference between a career and a job. And I think just as I start, I should say, I do better with careers. I'm not so good with jobs. Okay, but it's because there's difference, So your career is bigger than your job. I always say to young people, your career is bigger than your job. As much as I love careers rather than jobs, I say to young people, you choose. If you want to do a job, that's your choice. But I prefer building careers than just doing jobs. And your career is not necessarily tied to the organization or company or institution you work for. It is tied to a bigger dream. It's got a bigger why, a bigger purpose. And so where you are at a particular point, it is just something that should add to the bigger career, to the career. Okay, so even though they've given you a job, I've always said this job must contribute to the bigger dream of my why. And my career is not tied to working hours. It continues beyond working hours. And I don't do it for someone else. And I do it for myself. Career you do for yourself and not for someone else. But a job you do for someone else. And I'm saying these things because it is this that shapes how I go about my career, my journey. It's what shaped my journey, because wherever I am, it is not just about that place. It's always about what am I becoming whilst I'm there? What am I becoming? The job helps us to pay bills, but the career helps us to leave a legacy. And that's why in my journey, in the journey of my career, I never negotiate salary, actually. Okay, I make decisions sometimes to take a salary cut. So when I came to UCT, for example, people don't know, but I took R1 million per annum salary cut. I came to UCT, but it's because I was chasing a career. I wanted to be Deputy Vice Chancellor. And of course, it was a lateral move. I was Deputy Vice Chancellor at UNISA, and I'm coming to be Deputy Vice Chancellor. But these are two different institutions. One that is research intensive, the other one that's more teaching intensive. At UNISA, I was starting the portfolio. They had never had a deputy vice chancellor or vice principal for research. I was the first one. At UCT, it's a large research enterprise, and they've been having this position for a long time. So there are two different contexts. Even the way I conceptualized the issues that I talked about was different, because at UNISA, I would talk about excellence differently from how I talk about excellence at UCT. At UCT, I problematize excellence. At UNISA, I didn't problematize it. I said it's non-negotiable. I said, if not excellence, then what? But at UCT, I said, hey, excuse me. I say excellence is not innocent. And I can talk about that later, because excellence is part of the 3 pillars of my vision at UCT. But that's, for me, when I get into a job and I don't negotiate salary, it's because I understand that a job helps you pay your bills, but a career helps you build a legacy. So I don't chase the money. I chase what that space offers. I chase the career. If I feel that I'm going to be able to build a career, then the money is fine to sacrifice. And so I've also, having this focus on a career rather than a job has helped me actually to navigate many tricky situations, because, you know, when you do it with great passion, with determination, with courage and commitment, in spite of the many challenges that you face, then you know for sure it's a career. You're not here for play. I'm not going to jump ship simply because, you know, a little bit hot here or there, or there's a bit of pinching there, or no. I'm building a career, right? So I want to live at the time, at my own time, when I feel that I've built, I'm doing something here that's bigger than the job. So it's not about comfort, it's about making a contribution. It's about building something bigger. And that has sort of, that's what helped me navigate my space. But where did it start? I mean, people see me as an academic today, but what people don't know is that my career didn't start as an academic. I started as a teacher. You know, I have taught mathematics. Of course, I've only taught mathematics. I've taught mathematics at a high school. I've taught mathematics at college to pre-service teachers. I've taught mathematics at some stage to primary school, and then I've been a subject advisor, and then I've gone into the NGO sector. And here's the story. Just listen to the story. Again, it's a story of chasing the career. So I was a subject advisor in 1994 when we had our first elections. I was a subject advisor. I had done the teaching at a college and a teacher at high school, and I became a subject advisor in the West Rand, the whole of the West Rand, from Beckersdale until Carltonville and all the farm schools in between. It was only township schools and farm schools and so on. So 27th April, as it happened, I resigned my job. I resigned my job a little before then, gave a month's notice that at the end of April, I'm leaving, I'm going to the NGO. My boss said, wow, how could you do that? Remember, by the way, when you're in education, being a subject advisor is quite a posh job, even today. I mean, and that was 1994. That was huge, right? And I was like 25. I had jumped through the hoops, you know, jump the queue. We can talk about jumping the queue another time. How do you jump the queue? But here I am, I'm leaving a cushy job that many people who are teachers in schools want. And I was going into the NGO field. The NGO that had offered me a job didn't even offer me a full-time job. They offered me 18 months contract. In the meantime, the country is changing and everybody's saying the democratic government is coming into power. All the donors must give money to government, stop giving money to NGOs. And here I am leaving a government job, going to the NGO world, which was seen as not stable. And I was doing very well as a subject advisor. I mean, I was a mathematics subject advisor young. I was doing maths competitions. I was doing teacher training. I was doing very well. And actually, I met this NGO because I was doing very well and working with the NGO, and I liked what they were doing, they were working in farm schools. And I was working in township schools, but the NGO was working in farm schools. And I wanted a bit of that, of the experience of working in farm schools. Now, some of you might not know what farm schools are. Farm schools during apartheid, I mean, they're still there, they're better now, but they're schools that farm owners started for children of their workers. Now, farm owners are different. I mean, during apartheid, you can imagine, you had everything from the meanest to the most generous. And the most generous was Gary Player, whose farm was Blair Ethel, and had a school there, which was a farm school. But I mean, in the mid-90s, it had computer labs and teachers' quarters, and it would pass for a private school in a top suburb today. But that was the other extreme of the farmers. And then you had the other extreme of the farmers, where you had a farmer who actually changed converted a horse stable into a school. They didn't do anything. They just took out the horses and said the children should go in there. And there's someone who's a teacher there teaching maybe 3 classes in one, and there would be only 3 levels in one, maybe grade 1, 2, 3, just in that school. And it's children of the farm workers, the grade 1 in that corner, grade 2 there, grade 3 there, and it's just one teacher. And the farmer would open the gate at 6 o'clock when they leave, and then they close it. Whoever comes must either jump the fence or they don't have entry if they're not there at 6. And they would open it again at 3 o'clock when they come back. So I would be there at 6 o'clock, so that when the farmer goes out, I drive in. And when he comes back, and then I drive out. But it was interesting because the farm, they were the most disadvantaged schools. By the way, I'm not talking village schools, I'm talking farm. This is different, another level, right? I wanted a piece of that. 25, I thought, I'm resigning from being a subject advisor. I'm going into the NGO world to do this. What was I chasing? The experience of working with farm schools. And the director of my circuit says, but it is not safe. It is not, how do you know? It's not secure. There wasn't even medical aid. How can you make such a stupid decision? I said, it's not stupid. I want the experience. And he said, what if it doesn't work? I said, if it doesn't work, I'll start afresh. He said, what do you mean start afresh? I said, I'll go and teach. I'm a damn good teacher. I'll go up again. He said, really? I said, for sure. And of course, I had worked it out in my head that if it doesn't work, I'll start afresh. And so there I left. I went to the NGO world. The office was in Braamfontein. The schools are everywhere in the West Rand, Tarleton, Magalies, whatever. We drove there. You get there at 6 o'clock. There were very few of us, young people, 3 of us, and the director who had started the NGO. In the morning, during the day, you work with the learners and the teacher in class. In the afternoon, you work with the teacher, you help the teacher. During the day, you work with the learners, you work with the teacher. At some stage, I went to the US to do family maths program. So then it changed. In the morning, I work with the learners. During the day after school, I work with the teachers. In the evening, I work with the parents to help their children. But I can tell you that I had 6 years, the best 6 years of my life. I'm glad I made that decision. Of course, it was meant to be 18 months, but the funding kept coming. I mean, it's from schools, they needed the help, and we kept going. I didn't have medical aid, thank God, nothing happened, I didn't need it. But the issue that I'm trying to point at is the decision to do that was a career decision. And I went in there, and again, it was also a conceptualization of this. I was focusing on, through my entire career of teaching, I focused on making children love mathematics rather than focusing on making them pass mathematics. My view is, if you make them love mathematics, then they will spend time doing it, they will not dodge the class, they will spend time practicing it, and then they will pass it. They have a chance of passing it if they do that. And that's my approach. I didn't care what the principal said, what the teacher said, I just focused on that. Of course, what I didn't tell you is before I went into becoming a subject advisor, I had been a school teacher, a school principal. I mean, after I worked, my first year of work was at a college. I'm not going to go in there. Long story. I mean, I've got a weird life. And then I applied. I got married to my first husband, and then we landed up in the West End, in Carltonville, in Wedela, Western Deep Levels. And then I applied for a job at a new school that was being set up. There were 7 of us. They interviewed us, and in the morning, in the afternoon, the circuit inspector called me and said, "Oh, congratulations, Mrs. Sitati, congratulations. The selection committee decided that you must get the job, and they asked me to ask you to act as principal of the school." I was like, wow, okay. I've only taught 1 year, and I taught at a college. That's the year that I had taught at a college teaching teacher trainees. I said, wow, okay. And I said, why did they say so? They said, no. They thought of all the people they interviewed, you came across as the one who looked like will run the school very well. So there I was running a school that didn't have a building. That was just a concept. We were sharing it with the primary school. The school started at 12. The primary school started in the morning, ended at 12. I started at 12, ended at 5. It was what we call the platoon system. The school was in a poor area. If any of you knows the West Rand, in Kokosi. Kokosi is in a town, it's a township next to Fortville. Fortville is just before you get to Carltonville, before you go heading to Potchefstroom. But that's where I started. The reason I want to tell you this is because of just to get a sense, right? So I did this for 2 years. The school was in such a poor area. The school fees was like, I can't remember, 20 rand or 10 rand. That's how poor the school was, the area was. And the parents, many of them could not even pay school fees. We would hold the reports, and the 10 rand would come at the end of the year when they won the report. That's how we worked. The first year, there was no money at all in the school. We just functioned just that way. So the second year in the school, we started, oh, by the way, I taught maths the whole school as well. It was a high school. It was going 1 grade at a time. I taught maths the whole year. And then the 1 year we started competing in athletics. The students did well in the local. So they were going to area regional competitions. We bid them farewell, we buy them little provision with the little money that we have. The teachers say, but ma'am, give us something, money for Mahasman. I go, no, Mahasman, absolutely not. Of course, even at the end of the year, when for Christmas parties, I would say to them, you must contribute with your money. I mean, these parents are poor. There's nothing. I said, we are not getting any Mahasman. You want alcohol, you buy it yourself. The no school money buys that. Buying basics for students. They go, when they get there, they tell children, hey, this principal is tough, man. Tough. They come back on Monday. The students, of course, I mean, I have to say, I've been blessed with the gift of working with young people. And the students came back, and on a Monday, after the assembly, they came to my office and they say, ma'am, we like you very much, but no, we don't want you anymore. Our teachers are complaining. You must go. You must go. At that time, that was like 92, 91. The cars of principals were getting bent. The fire was everywhere. I thought, oh, I'm very lucky. They are not chasing me. They asked me, I packed my bag and I left. And that's how I left the work. Do I regret? I don't. I live by principle. I will do it again. You want to buy alcohol in the school that I'm running. You want to use the school fees. I will say no a million times. I do not care what you call me. I will not do it. Okay, so I did that. Now, oftentimes when principals were taken out of schools, principals would sit in the circuit office. I decided, okay, what do I do? I said to the principal, I'm a math teacher. Tell all the schools in the West End I can teach maths for them. So I didn't sit in the circuit office. The school started calling me and I was teaching there. So I made, you know, every time there's a challenge, I found a way of making it work. But I thought I should tell you that story. The farm school teaching came after that. The farm school work came after that in the NGO world. And of course, in the NGO world, I didn't only work with farm schools. I moved from I worked for 2 NGOs. From this one NGO that was only doing maths, I went to another one that was doing math, education and whatever, and women and other empowerment programs. And one day the SAB came and said to our NGO, said they want to run Women in Rural Areas program. And because I was maths, sort of scarce skill, they don't ask you. I said, I want to do that. I went to Limpopo. I chose Limpopo. You had to work with 40 women, start a women empowerment program so that in the end of 12 months, they run an income generating project. I said to my director, I will do in a month, I do 3 weeks of maths, 1 week of the women, I go to Limpopo. So I would spend a week in Limpopo. Why did I choose Limpopo? Where my man came from, Limpopo. Well, I chose Limpopo only. So anyway, so I was, I hope you guys have a sense of humor, please. So, so I spent 1 week in Limpopo working with 40 women. The majority of them, overwhelming majority, probably 90% of them had never worked. They didn't know how to read or write. And I had to work with them that in 12 months, they should run an income generating projects. There were different people running these women in rural areas programs across the country in different provinces. I had chosen Limpopo. That was 96 or 97. I can't remember, 96. Now, I thought, what do you do? I had never done a women program. The constitution had just come up. I thought the only way women who have been told they are unemployed, whatever, you start with empowering themselves, they should feel good about themselves. They should feel powerful that they can do things. So I started with self-empowerment. And then I went to the Bill of Rights. I mean, the Constitution was still the new thing. I taught them about the Constitution, made them understand what their rights are as citizens and as women, and then went on to hire someone to work with them on entrepreneurial skills. Gave them responsibilities. They negotiated with the chief to get the land. They worked the land. Our money worked very well. 12 months down the line, our project won the best program in the country, and I went with the women to Malaysia. They had never seen anything like that. They had never even been to Joburg, and here we were going to Malaysia, and that was amazing for the women, right? So, but it was, I had given it to them, given them the power to do this, because I said to them, you know the village more than I do. I can teach you what I know. You're going to teach me what you know. Of course, they taught me more than just the business. They taught me also how to do other things, given that my man came from Limpopo. Now, the other things that I did, it was after the Women in Rural Areas program. I was doing all of that while studying, by the way. I was studying, I did my master's part-time, all my postgraduate, I did part-time at Vets. So in 96, I completed my master's, and of course, I had done research, classroom-based research on mathematics education. And my supervisor invited me. By that time, by the way, I'm a program manager at the NGO. My supervisor said, don't you want to be a research assistant? And then when you do your PhD, you can use this, you know, it's a way to get research experience and so on and so forth. And here I am at the NGO, and there was a presidential educational initiative. I applied for that money. And then got the project, my first grant, 100,000 rands to do this project. And I went in to be a research assistant, applied for leave without pay from my NGO. So I had gotten this experience from the NGO. Now I'm shifting into academia. I decided at that time, 96, when I submitted my master's, my supervisor said to me, so what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to take a break, and then I'll see whether I need to study further. He said, but why? What do you want to do? And I said, well, I want your kind of job. And she said, my job? I said, yeah, not your job, but your job. She said, well, if you want my job, you better do a PhD. So I said, okay. So I'll come in 98. So because I had said I want her job, she then interested me in being a research assistant in her project. Of course, she didn't blackmail me. She didn't say to me, if you become a research assistant, you'll get my job. But I mean, she said, you want. So, but I tell you, that was my in. I put on hold my job as a program manager at the NGO. I took leave without pay. I went to Wits to be a research assistant. With a master's degree, I had just started a PhD. My friends thought I had gone mad because they said, how can you do that? You're registering for a PhD, you have a master's, you are a project manager, you're going to become a research assistant. When you're a research assistant, you do everything for a research group. Coffee, photocopying, literature searches. When you go collect data, you are the one carrying the boxes, the one driving, the one doing everything. I did all of it. I told myself, I'm building a career. I'm here to learn. When I'm done here, I will know everything that the research leader knows. And the research leader was this woman who was my supervisor at my master's. And so I did my PhD whilst in that research project. And of course, because I was at Wits and I worked my ass off, and a job came up to be a tutor 6 months later. I applied for that job to be a tutor in the math department. And it was the whole year. At the end of the year of that year, I decided to resign, end of 98, resign from the NGO. Then I was at Wits. Now I'm a tutor doing a PhD. I stopped being a project manager. My salary, my net was not even my gross from where I come from. I didn't care. I was building a career. I don't make money decisions. You make career decisions. I don't regret it. Okay. People thought I'm crazy. I didn't negotiate. I took it. I thought when I'm done with them, I'll have enough. So that's how my academic career started. I sat in there doing, now I'm a tutor. I think a year later, I became a senior tutor whilst I'm doing my PhD. But in 4 years, I completed my PhD. I shifted from the tutor strand to the lecturer strand and became senior, because I'm in the a research group as a research assistant whilst I'm working. You get to go to conferences. I was publishing. I was working extra hard. I was pushing because I wanted to jump the queue, because I started at the bottom again. After building elsewhere, I came to start again. So I worked overtime. And so when I got my PhD in 2002 at Wits, I was a senior lecturer, but my CV was strong. 3 years later, I applied for an NRF rating and I got a C1 rating. Of course, at that time, I thought it's an insult. I was stupid and naive. I didn't know that many people who had been in academia a long time, in fact, retire with it or without it, only learned later. But now I celebrated that 3 years later, after a PhD, I got a C1 rating, which means you've got some international recognition. And then I got a promotion to associate professor. In fact, the promotion came before then. I won't tell the story of how I fought for my promotion at Wits, but you'll get it in my book one day. Interesting story. But I did that. But the point I'm trying to make here is I make career decisions and not money decisions. And that has served me well. I focus on building a career rather than doing a job. So I spent 12 years at Wits. Some of those years are the years whilst I was finishing my PhD, but some of it I became a professor, an associate professor at Wits, and did everything. I mean, I also learned, it is at Wits where I think I sort of lost my African humility of not demanding what you are worth. I think Wits taught me that. I learned at Wits that you don't get what you don't ask for. I was surrounded by white girls who were head girls where they came from. And I came from township education and Bundu education at Northwest University. And here I was working with these girls who were super smart, who were head girls. And I realized, damn it, they come to work even on Saturday. when they write their chatty resume, I realized you don't get anything until you yourself believe you are worth it. And so I started saying, I want to be coordinator of this. I don't do that, I do this. I started carving my career. And I remember, and I want to tell this because I want to be spicy, provocative to have a conversation, right? So one of the things that I declined to do, I remember at VETS as a young academic, was, there's two things I'll tell you. The one thing is to be in the transformation committee. I declined being in the transformation committee. I demanded being in the research committee. And I remember that my colleagues were like, but why? All Black people must be. I went to because I was the hardworking Black, right? So I was the one with the research grant. When they have the meeting, I'm the one who's paying for the coffee and the scones, and we all come and we talk, right? And I said to them, transformation committee is important. We should never make transformation just the problem of Black people. And then other spaces of the core business, there are no Black people. I said to them, I want to be at the center of the core business. I don't want to be in this. I said to them, listen here, guys, research, you don't go anywhere in academia if you don't hit the research jackpot. You go nowhere. And research needs transformation. So I want to be that voice in the research committee. They didn't want to be in the research because they were not driving their research careers. They were not driving their research project. They were not. I thought that's where I need to be. In the transformation was important, but it was almost like it's a corner there and everything else happens elsewhere. And I'm afraid sometimes it still happens that way. It's as if transformation is somewhere on a basket in a corner there, and it's a job for Black people, not for anyone. I don't think that's how it should be. I said to them, I want the one that white people think it is theirs. So I demanded coordinating the PhD program, and I demanded being on the research committee. So that's where I was. I didn't care what they called me because I figured that's how white girls get it, right? So I was never in the transformation committee. I did that. You can call me whatever you like, but my agenda is clear. Now, I worked that way and I drove the transformation agenda from there. My students were Black. I recruited Black students, honor students, master students. I think in my entire career at VETS, I supervised only one white student. But I had many Black and women students that I supervised for masters and for PhD. Now, once I was at VETS, upward mobility is key. Remember that I'm interested in this career. I wanted to be the best. Now I've got a rating. I'm an associate professor. I'm not even 40. I keep pushing and pushing. Then I decided I want to have a chair. I don't know if you know academia, you want to be a research chair. And, but I realized that because of my age and I'm associate professor, there was a full professor in maths education, they were not going to prioritize me for a research chair. So I decided to look for money, to raise funds to have a research chair, because research chairs are normally funded from outside by business. I got a proposal and a Black business person agreed to fund me. I wrote a proposal, sent them, explained to them, I put it down. But of course, at that time, I was writing things, we'll get to that just now, but I was writing things in newspapers, but I wrote a strong proposal about research and development. This is what I want to do. The Black business person said, yes, we can do this. I went to VETS excited. This is the money I can get to be initially for 3 years, but if I deliver, I can continue. The chair is this. The head of school said, oh, that's exciting, but we must talk to the dean and the DVC. Oh, these white people, they talked, and then they said, no, it's great, but they must advertise. I said to them, how do you advertise for the money for a chair that I raised the money for? They said, well, that's how it works at VETS, you must. I was like, wow. I went home, I thought about it, and I thought, who's going to apply? I thought I'll hit them. So I decided, fine, they can advertise. I then went to the business person. I said, well, they agree, but they want to advertise. But don't worry, I can compete. I mean, I can see. I mean, I'm going to make it difficult for them. The business person said, I don't gamble with my money that way. I gave this money for you. If they don't want to give this money for your chair, they are not getting it. Because once the decision is made, my money will be given. So we can't. I said, please, man, I promise you. He said, absolutely not. Now, there I was, 2007, I'm stuck. I've got a promise of the money. I've got a proposal. I'm the one with the idea. Other people are not bothered, but I can't get it because the university wants me to compete. The funder doesn't want to compete. That's when I decided I've got to leave. That's how I left VETS, by the way. At that time, of course, Central University of Technology was interested in me in being DVC, whatever. I said to them, I'm not ready to be DVC. I'm still young. UNISA invited me. They said they've been advertising for Dean of Science, Engineering, and Technology. Professor Pichana sold me his vision, man. I was like, wow, okay, let's try this. You have to compete for the job. I went to compete for that job. I got it. I got the job. January 28, 2008, I went to UNISA. They didn't tell me how bad it was going to be. Got to UNISA, there was so much hostility. I had never seen anything like that. There were all sorts of things. This new dean hates white people. She's anti-white. She's this, she's that. She's coming to take us to Joburg because they were supposed to move to Johannesburg after the merger to where Technicon SA was. Nobody had told me. I was interested in this job they didn't tell me the politics. So there I was stuck with a conundrum. Meantime, at VETS, when I left, they said, we don't think you will like UNISA. It's not your kind of thing. You know, you are a researcher. They're not research intensive. So look here, we're not going to advertise the job for 1 year. If you want to come back, come back. When I get to UNISA, the gates are closed. The security doesn't even want to give me the keys. They think I'm too small. How can I be the dean? I get to the faculty, everybody's on leave. Like there's so much hostility, there's no furniture. I left my nice furniture because I was a researcher with grants, with money. I bought furniture for my office. I get to UNISA, it's still furniture. Like, you know, those ones, you know, I was like, wow, there's no computer, there's no phone. I ran the dean's office with my cell phone and my MacBook. I thought to myself, gosh, imagine if I go back to VETS, man. I don't want to do that. I thought I'm doing this thing. I went to the math department because of course that's my home department. There are people that I know there. 2 people came to me who were my seniors at varsity. They walked into my office, they closed the door quickly. I said, what's going on? They said, you are not wanted here. I said, what? They said, yes, they don't want you. So you might not even spend enough time. These white people here are so angry that you've been appointed. I was like, okay, what? As we were talking, one of them said, shh. I said, what? They said, this office is packed. I'm sure they're tape recording us. I was like, wow, is it that hectic here? So the reception was pretty hectic, right? Professor Pichana came walking, found the office. I called maintenance to take out all that steel stuff. By the time Professor Pichana came, found the office was empty. It was just a chair and a wooden table. He said, I said, no, I don't have office furniture. You are going to buy me a new furniture in here, proper one. So my reception wasn't good, right? But I focused on every challenge. Here's the thing, every level that you rise to has got its own challenge. If you embrace the challenge, you embrace the glory that comes with it. I took that on. In the first 6 months, it was hectic, man. It was hectic, you know, blockages. But here's the thing, you know, in every space, as much as there'll be detractors and whatever, there is always some corner in the space that will support you. You know, the people who supported me were not the people in my home discipline. The people in my home discipline liked me, but they didn't want to be seen to be supporting me because they didn't want to be ostracized. It was the School of Computing. The School of Computing was full of white Afrikaner women with PhDs. And it was the most untransformed school And that's the school that's up. They came to me and they said, no, anything you want, come to us. Whatever, if I want a policy, whatever, I was reading minutes of years to get they said, I mean, just imagine, here's a place where they say the critique is that I hate white people, and yet the people who come to support me are African and they're white. But you know why they supported me? Because apparently the previous dean hated them. So they were very happy to have the new dean. They thought, we've got a new leader in place, we better get on their right side. The new dean was calling them racist at the drop of a pen. So now they've got a new dean. They decided they're going to be nice, they're going to be good. If they were racist, they decided they put their racism aside. They were my buddies. Like, I had tea with them, they showed me everything. So that's how I got welcomed. A year later, things were different. I introduced something, I did everything different. I felt that the school, the faculty, college was different. At the end of the year, when people do end of the year, braai, Christmas, what, I did end of the year breakfast. I said to them, it's going to be 2 hours. 1 hour, we're going to be in the hall to do the speeches, what. 1 hour, we have breakfast. After that, we go back to work. I had been looking the whole year. I did the agenda for the end of the year breakfast. I wrote also the names of the people. At that time, bonuses, only people from director upwards were getting performance bonuses. And I had gotten a performance bonus for turning around. I mean, the college had turned around. You'll get the detail in my real memoir. So I decided I did the end of the year speech, what we have achieved, and then I had the last item was share the dean's salary, because the rest of the people were not getting bonuses. Just only people from director upwards. I had drawn hard cash. I put 1,000 rands in envelopes for people at different levels. The most responsive PA, the academic who published more than all, the most what for community engagement, whatever. I called that day. I recognized, I told them about our achievements. I told them I got a bonus for the achievements that we've done, and I told them I would never have gotten them without them. And I'm here to share my salary with them. And I think if they never thought I was committed, I think that day, they had never seen anything like that. There was tears. Even people who didn't have white envelopes were crying. But it was getting out of the comfort zone, out of the box. That helped. My stay at UNISA, I'm gonna jump because I see we're running out of time. I'm gonna jump. My stay at UNISA was memorable. I stayed 3 years as a dean, and on year number 4, I then was promoted to being deputy vice chancellor, vice principal for research and innovation. And again, there was, I mean, and here's the thing about the space. I mean, it's interesting how places of work works. When I got to UNISA, I remember someone saying, you know, a new broom sweeps clean, get like a paraffin speed, you know, like some of us are hyperactive, and they were like, paraffin speed, utolapa, you are going to get tired. We'll see, you'll be like us very soon. I was like, okay, you know, and that paraffin speed never ended. So I did 5 years as a deputy vice chancellor with great things, but I'm gonna jump to why leave UNISA. I had 5 years, I had a substantial position. I could have had a second term, but I wanted experience in a research intensive university. And that's why I came to UCT. UCT was not necessarily the first choice. I would have gone to Wits if Wits had the position, but Wits didn't have the position. I wanted a research intensive university. It could have been Stellenbosch, not necessarily Durban, because family didn't necessarily want to go to Durban. But it could have been any research intensive university. So UCT was the one that, but when UCT advertised at the same time a post of the DVC research and DVC transformation. They knew that I was looking to move from UNISA. So the person who was the DVC research was only going to retire at the end of 2016. And I had given myself an ultimatum. If I don't get the job at the end of 2015, I told them, I told them, if I don't get that job at the end of 2015, I'm making another decision. So they advertised that job, okay? They advertised that job together with transformation. 4 of us came to contest. I came to contest, and then, remember, they have 2 jobs, transformation and research. So 4 of us, all of us Black, I got the job. I was the only one who got the job in that group. But when they phone me, they say, the VC says, yeah, but we think you'll be great for transformation. I was like, no. I don't want the job of transformation. If you are giving me transformation, then it's a no. I don't want it. I applied for research, you give me research. I'll do transformation in research. Otherwise, I can't do it. So that issue, and of course, that was one of the questions that they asked me, whether I think transformation should be a separate portfolio. But I started in research at UCT. So I came in on the 1st of July 2016, but actually my tenure started on the 1st of January 2017, because the person who was retiring was still finishing his tenure in December 2016. And if it hadn't come, because my term was ending at June at UNISA, I started at UCT then. And how did I become VC? I really had decided I'm not going to apply, because in the week that the post was advertised is the week that the email circulated with about 60 names that I have to be investigated. My PhD is dodgy. I have misrepresented myself. And how did I get to know about this? I mean, where, right? We are in a meeting on a Wednesday morning or something. And when we leave that meeting, it was September, so it was budget meetings. The VC says to me, let's go together. There's an email circulating talking about your qualification. I don't want you to hear it. I just wanted to tell you. I said, what do they say about my qualification? No, some people are saying you must be investigated. I said, what? No, we'll talk later. I'm like, what? I must be like people, you leaving me like this? Like, so it was rough, man. So I wrote on Facebook that some of my colleagues apparently are saying my PhD needs to be investigated. So please, whoever studied with me, please tell them I have a legit PhD, something like that or whatever, And this thing went, I didn't know that it was gonna go viral, right? I just wrote that, but it went viral and led to a statement that then did that. But I mean, I was really shaken. I thought, you can be accused of many things. Faking a PhD is far from it, especially if you studied in the country. You didn't study outside. So then I tried to ask myself, but why is this happening? Why now? And actually, that was the week the advert of the VC had gone online. I wasn't even aware that the advert of the VC had gone online. And of course, I was the DVC who had served already as a DVC elsewhere doing the second round. Everyone knew on paper that I qualify. And so I thought, well, maybe it's because people don't want me to apply. So when I was asked, I was interrogated, so why do you think people wrote this? I was like, oh, well, I think it's because the VC job was being advertised. And I said to my colleague, well, you can relax, you guys, I'm not gonna apply. I'll try to make sure that I even forget that I ever even thought of being VC of UCT. I mean, there are other jobs, And honestly speaking, I thought there will be other VC jobs one to apply for because one has got an age advantage. But people, as you might be aware, in academia, you can apply or you can get nominated. So people kept nominating me. I was ignoring them. They advertised the first round, second round. I thought they'll get the person they want, but clearly they were not getting the person they wanted because they advertised second round, they advertised third round. Finally, Professor Mayosi said to me he wants to see me, and I thought we'd come into chat. He came and he sat me down and he said, no, man, I've been sent to talk to you, man. We need a VC and we think you will be a VC. He talked to me for an hour. No, you can do this. I said, no, but you guys, I don't think this university can do this. But it was after a talk with Mayosi for an hour that I decided that I should apply. I did an application very quickly, but I hadn't thought of applying for the job. I had conditioned myself that I'll be DVC, I'll apply for another VC job elsewhere. And I thought it'll happen at some stage. And so in a way, I was a reluctant VC when I started. People ask me about the presentation that I made for the VC job that's still online. Why, like some people, depending on how people describe it. And I say, I made that presentation as it was. I mean, I was very provocative, like, ask me about this, because I thought I'm doing this for me. I mean, they're not going to give me the job. So I must give them what I think, because anyway, I might not get the job. So, so here I am as VC. It's an interesting journey, is a challenging journey. There are many, on any one good day, there are about 3 curved balls. On a good day, did you hear me? Good day. Imagine the bad day. But this is how it's made. Every level has got its own devil. Avela, let me pause and take questions.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Pakeng, for sharing your journey. And I'm going to ask colleagues to put their hands up to ask questions. I know that some colleagues have already put questions in the chat. I want to ask you to please put up your hand so that you can ask those questions actively. I think it will be great if we can have interaction. We have people coming up. If you get picked to ask a question, then we will ask you to unmute and to show your video so that it can be as interactive as possible. And I note you, Xolile Bijana, and I just want to ask this question just to get things going, Prof. You've said something very, very important, and it ties into a question that I had for you when it comes to transformation, right? The role of the core business in transformation. And it doesn't really tend to matter whether you're in academia, whether you're in corporate, whether you're in NGOs. At the end of the day, the holders of purses determine what happens anywhere. What do you think needs to happen for us to actually end up with transformation being at a mass scale? So that is to say that those kinds of positions, decision-making, purse holding, commercials driving positions are in line with the demographics of the country. Because I think what you've spoken to there, I think the committee is still important, but I think until one starts to occupy those positions and with the kind of mindset that you've described to drive transformation from positions of decision-making and commercial power, we might not get what you want. But then there's a bit of a catch-22 around that. I'm gonna pose that question. And I want to ask you if you prefer us to go one by one, or you prefer us to ask to pose a number of questions and then respond. What's your preferred approach?
I think the question that you asked is quite a big one. And maybe I should attempt it because it might answer some of the other questions. For me, transformation should not be a separate handled separately. It should go across everything that we do. The CFO must be held accountable for it. The COO, everybody. All the DVCs must have a deliverable. Transformation must be top of mind. I already said I hate the idea of jobs for Black people because I'm not sure if that works. I also hate the idea that white people can just fold their hands. That transformation is not their problem. That they are not challenged to make it happen. They don't have to speak for it. They can just keep quiet. They don't have to make it happen or whatever. They just have to duck the bullets or whatever. I don't know. I think it should be the responsibility of everyone. But of course, it matters who are in those positions that are core to the business. So and by the way, dare I say, Avela, by the way, just simply because you have a Black person, don't think you have a commitment to transformation. Don't lie to yourself. The amount of melanin in your skin doesn't tell us about what your ideology is. It doesn't. Some people use the melanin to get the job, and then they basically are the best saboteurs of transformation. They do it, yes, and because they are Black, they are the ones who are given the bullets. Because actually, if a Black person says this, it carries. So I don't buy this, you know, and look, critical mass is important. We've got to get a critical mass of Black people in positions of power. We've got to get the critical mass. But critical mass in and of itself is not the solution to transformation. Once you have the critical mass, you've got to work with that critical mass to change their mindsets, so that they shouldn't think being led by a small Black woman is a weakness. They should not think that they are bigger simply because they are an older Black woman, that they can never report to a younger Black woman whose CV is better and experience is better and they've got the job. Okay, so we should never lie to ourselves. Okay, we should never lie to ourselves. The critical mass is important. Black people are important, but it's not the solution. It is one step. Once you have that, you've got to work. And some Black people you will want to take out of positions because actually they're a stumbling block. I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. So for me, that's why I want transformation must go across, whether you are white or Black. I want a white person to have the burden of transformation. I want them to understand that it is in their interest for the institution to transform, that we will never be excellent unless we have transformation. Am I saying we should appoint white people only? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I'm not going to keep a Black person who is a stumbling block to progress, who is simply because they're Black. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then in the court of public opinion, you just pass simply because you are Black. There's things called deliverables, and those things have to be on the table.
Thank you very, very much, and I love the idea of those KPIs being attached to roles across the business. So I'm going to call now on Hle Pitjana. Hle Pitjana, if you could unmute, show some video, and ask your question.
Hi, thanks, Avela. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, but we cannot see you.
I'm struggling with the pitch. I'm challenged technically. I just want to start by thanking you guys, you Avela and Comrade Dumza, for bringing Prof. Phakeng on this platform, and also to thank Prof. Phakeng for honoring this this invite in spite of everything that is happening at the institution. I have 3 questions. I don't know whether to fire them at once or to rather go for 1 or 2. But you'll stop me. You'll stop me up there.
Expectations. Leadership.
Sorry?
Leadership exceeding expectations.
Thank you. Yeah. The first one, Prof. Phakeng, is to check whether when you were appointed or before you were appointed as a chancellor for UCT, did you go and compare notes with Dr. Mampele Rampele, who was there before you in your same position? That's the first one. The second one, I just wanted to check. We have a debate going around the country now on the minister Lindwesi Sulu bringing available skills from Cuba, more specifically in the civil engineering or water engineering side. What's your take with our highly regarded institutions that are producing highly qualified engineers year in and year out, and with many of these graduates currently unemployed? And the last question is on my good friend and comrade, Dr. Lwazi Lushaba. I see you smiling. I'm worried that the attacks that he's been going under are kind of forcing a situation where lecturers and academia in general is kind of censored as to into which space they can venture, and I'm worried now, seeing that you had Professor Kolela Mangu earlier in your institution, and it also didn't work out well. That made him to either leave on because there were better opportunities to go to vets, or also he did not find enough space and more transformation in the institution. So will Dr. Lushaba face the similar fate? And that's it. And in closing, I'm happy that my uncle at UNISA helped you and facilitated your stay there. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, by the way, your uncle, Professor Bani Pichana, is my best boss so far. I think my current boss is a rival. But before I got my current boss, Bani Pichana, in my memoir will come out flying colors. I mean, he's an amazing human being, and he created space for me to lead. He taught me how to be an executive. Okay, so did I compare notes with Mampile? I did. I did. Mampile is a great support. In fact, before I took office, I made sure to meet with the previous Vice Chancellor Stewart. I met with Njabulo and Mampile. And Mampile and Njabulo are really, they are on my speed dial. I can call them anytime. Mampile, I can call at 1 a.m. Crying, she will take my call. She could even drive to me. So we have compared notes. It's been a source of huge support in difficult times. Just getting to understand her journey and her lessons when she was in this job, and I continue to draw strength from her. I'm going to go to Lushaba. We'll handle the minister's thing later. You know, I won't speak about Kolela because actually, when I got here as a DVC, Kolela was on sabbatical. Kolela and I were never on campus at the same time, because when I came, he was at Harvard, and then he moved on and on. So I really don't know the intricacies of why he left and what happened there. But by the time I took office as VC, he had left already. I don't think Lushaba will go the same way. You know, Lushaba and Kolela are very different. Very different. So I think just even in their personality and how they carry on their politics, because of course I've seen them in action outside UCT, they are very different. I don't think it will go that way. I think Lushaba's lecture is an important debate in academia today, particularly now with so much teaching happening online, or so much activity happening online, and the debates that I have seen, it's not just one-sided. I mean, it's not, you can't even slice it according to race or according to religion. There are hardcore Jewish people who are saying, leave him alone. He never said that. you know, and there are Jewish people on the other side. There are, you know, so there are people on both sides. But core, of course, to the debate that you are raising is, of course, if you punish Lushaba, it's a huge risk to academic freedom. But not only that, even just to it will scare, it will put it will create a problem for many academics or anyone who's doing teaching online, because anything can be taken and be construed. A few seconds of what you're saying can be construed in that way, and you can end up losing your job. So I don't think it will be that. And I'm not sure that Lushaba, I don't know. I mean, I've been too busy with the fire. I haven't checked whether Lushaba has responded. Actually, before we started, I was just listening to the In the Ring debate with Robert and Eusebius and Lushaba, just to hear the debate on Eusebius's podcast. So I don't think it's at the level of I wouldn't put it there. I think it's an important debate. From what I've been hearing, what I've been reading, I think Lushaba is taking it in his stride. Because he's making it clear his critique is about political science. It's not about the Holocaust. It's about political science as a discipline. So he's critiquing a discipline, and so it's interesting. I mean, and it's interesting his take on also linguistics, how you use language, and so on, and him arguing how deliberately he used language in that way. You know, so I think it's an important debate in academia, and it's good that he's taking it in his stride in that way. He's not saying you racist white people don't want to hear whatever. He's engaging people. He's engaging, and that's good. That's in a university, you need that kind of debate to take place rather than to silence it. Minister Sisulu, bringing skills from Cuba. You know, this is a very difficult question, because, you know, Cuba is very dear to us, and it's interesting when we talk about shortage of skills outside the Cuba question. People are quite happy to engage on the shortage of skills, but once you bring the Cuba question, it becomes something else. I think what I think we should do is to actually look at do we have unemployed engineers? And by the way, engineers are different. You know, having an engineering degree doesn't necessarily mean you are practicing. You're a professional engineer, so you still have to get a PR-Eng. Right, so maybe we have many qualified engineering graduates who are not employed, and maybe something needs to be done there. There's also questions about whether the engineering qualification in Cuba is recognized by the International Engineering Council, and if it is not, then the work that they're doing has to be signed off by a professional engineer in South Africa. And so the question is, could we then have taken the ones who are not professional engineers here to do that work? We cannot, of course, deny the fact that there is lots of backlog. I mean, you know, the Hartebeespoort Dam has been what it is for a long time. Don't we need some work there? The Vaal River. I mean, it's one thing we are very good in arguing about positions. We never argue about the job done. You know, the job done. You know, I want the job done. You know, I want the Vaal River being clean. I want the whatever. You know, so I wish we could unpack this problem more rather than just get angry at the Cubans. And perhaps the unemployed engineers of South Africa can work with them. These are only 24. Let's take the ones who are unemployed. Let's work with them. And I also found it interesting who were the loudest voices in critiquing this. I mean, you know, again, one needs time to look at this closely. consulting engineers were the ones who were complaining about this. I'm not sure if they have the statistics. I'm looking forward to EXA, the Engineering Council of South Africa. I mean, it would be interesting to hear what EXA says, because they will have the real, they're not doing it for money. Consulting engineers have their agenda statement. So I would like EXA to tell us what's the, how many do we have? Of course, it is not acceptable to have unemployed engineering graduates and get others outside. So I'm saying, let's get the ones who are unemployed, let's mix them with these, and let's get the job done.
Prof, we're going to have to borrow some time from you.
Yeah.
As you can see, there's great interest also in the chat. Will that be possible? How much can we borrow? I just want to make sure that we're very conscious that we've got a theoretical 1 minute left of this discussion, but it's far too fresh to close, I think. I'd like to motivate for additional time.
Okay, let's do it 15 minutes.
Okay, great. So what we're going to do is we're going to just do one question per person. Let me call on Mnungubane to pose his question, and then Mema Tebesi to follow. And I know that the chairperson of the province would also like to raise a question. There's some questions that were along the chat, but I did ask people to actually put their hands up for those. So let's go with these three for now, and then let's see how we're doing for time. We still want to have a vote of thanks from the provincial chairperson and to close the session. So, Nungubane.
Hi, Slalo. Tulani Gubane. Prof, thank you so much for such an inspiring story that you shared with us today. Very quickly, I just want to check with you the future of classroom learning, taking into consideration what COVID has basically showed us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Prof, do you mind if we take then the other two, just to make sure that we've got a sense of what's coming? So, Me Matebesi.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning, Prof.
Hi,
Really is wonderful to have you here in this session. You are really a rare breed, innovative in your approach in everything that you do. I'm one of the members that follows your Duke series, and I enjoy your Duke series. The question is, what gave birth to the Duke series, and where do you see the Duke series going in future? The second question is, what keeps you going as a VC in UCT? And when will you say, I can step off, my vision has been realized? Thank you, Prof. Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Nonguleko. Then let me call on the chairperson of the province, leadership.
Hi, thanks Avela, and thanks to Misa for a lovely program. And Prof, it's always a pleasure to have you. Your energy is really great. Yeah, 3 a.m. squad. I am no longer on Twitter, but I used to follow you as well. Yeah, as an engineer who's no longer practicing, I think that question, what you raised around what EXA comes back with as an answer, it's quite pertinent. I'll also be following it. But I wanted to just talk about what you said around jump the queue, and I wanted to ask, so if we look at our society in South Africa, one would say that it's patrilineal, I think. And I think we count you, I'm sure we can count you guys on hands only, the top women that are leading in South Africa. So I wanted to know, what do you think must be done? You have, is it us jumping the queue? But if we jump the queue, how do we make it stick? I'm thinking back to recent past in terms of the CE of African Bank, who's just had to leave. I mean, we celebrated her as one of the first CEs for a South African bank. We celebrated you as a VC, and we're hoping that you would serve 5 terms so that we a lot more of the upcoming young women have got a role model that they can see and hear, on mediums that they follow.
You're muted, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And can I just add a closing question there? Now, question number 4, and then I think we'll be done for today. Regretfully and regrettably, you've spoken to the politics that you have navigated, not only at UCT, but also at UNISA. You navigated effectively that chair that you had effectively funded, and the process that was put in front of you was effectively politics. We know about the emails. We know that already now, as we speak, articles and opinion pieces are coming out about the fire. We know that there's effectively, as you drive and as you try and execute your vision for UCT, we know that there's a section of society, and some of these people are in incredibly powerful positions that doesn't want you to succeed. So knowing this, but also taking it and transferring it to the rest of us, right? Because in all of our corners, in all of our journeys, we are experiencing some level, some form of politics. And the higher up you rise, the more dagger-filled the landscape becomes. So how do you navigate such politics to make sure that you continue to be able to drive your career and to execute your vision? And how do you build resilience? Because I think that a lot of us, especially when you start, like the chairperson has just spoken to gender, the more we find ourselves alone in some of these spaces, the harder it becomes. And you've spoken to some of the support you're getting from Dr. Rampele and others. How do you build resistance, and how do you make sure that you don't give up? Because I think a lot of us walk away. We walk away from these situations because it's just so hard. It's so hard. You have to be good. You have to work hard. You have to kind of get sponsorship. You're doing all of these things, and then you still have to deal with the punches that come, with the indirects, with the activities that come along with this. And I think it's part of what counts as the blockages that are sometimes keeping us away and actually getting in the way of that critical mass, which, as I agree, that you want a critical mass of conscious people who have the objectives. But how do you navigate that? And you've got plenty of experience in terms of this. I'd love for you to breathe upon that element as well.
Very, very difficult question. I'll end with that one. But let me start with Thulane's the future of classroom learning. I think that classroom won't be replaced. I think it will always be there. There is, what COVID has done, it has introduced, of course, the power of online, the power of digital, but that will get incorporated. I mean, I don't think, I can see from where, at least from where we are as UCT, we will not be an online learning university, fully online learning university. There's many reasons why the classroom will remain, but the classroom, of course, will be transformed. It won't remain in the same form that it used to be. It will transform, because even within the classroom, you will still have digital presence happening. So I think the future of the classroom is still here. It's a transformed classroom. Classroom learning will be transformed in one way or another, but the physicality of the classroom will still be there. We're talking blended, and it's done differently Yeah, it's been done differently, not the same way that it happened before. Like, I mean, it's interesting with level COVID levels now, we doing physically distanced learning. So we've done away with the big classrooms of 300 students. We keep in classrooms to only 35, and you know, and then we, you know, like engineering in particular, they introduce what they call home rooms, and they do one module the whole day. But it's only 35 students, and tomorrow another 35 students come for the same module, whilst those ones learn online. So there's a you know, it's a blended way that didn't happen before, but the classroom is still important. Nonkululeko, the Duke series, Nonkululeko, I have to say you are not such a loyal follower, you know. So the Duke series, the Duke series was the series, the festive season series of my online lectures. So I mean, you know, I created ways of remembering the sessions, the series. So each series has got 10 sessions. And so I had the black t-shirt series, the bow tie series, the tie series, the white t-shirt series, the Duke series. Now I'm on the bead series. You see, Mpo? No, Nonkululeko. Now I'm on the bead series. We're doing beads now. So the Duke series was the one before. And then there's the one that comes. So the loyal follower. So I've done 50 lessons. I'm now on number 55. We're doing number 55 this week. So it doesn't end. We just focusing them on different things. So at the moment, we're focusing on undergraduate people who are starting at university. How can they nail the course, and the parents, how can they support them? And we're getting different students to do that. So when it ends, we'll go to the next series, and I will announce it. I will announce it. There's two ideas that I'm playing with. One is to look at graduates when they start working. I mean, it's an interesting journey because, I mean, for me, given my position, you work with students after they graduate, and it's interesting the shock that they get after graduation when they get to work. And some of them resign after 6 months, and they think this is a picnic. It's not a picnic, you know, it's hardcore adulting. But I wanted to talk about after graduation, life after graduation. But the other series that I'm going to be doing is about, I don't have a phrase for it, but it's about dealing with issues of diversity. So we're going to deal with issues of LGBTIQ+, racism, you know, gender racism, homophobia, Islamophobia, and all sorts of phobias. Because in universities there's different mixtures happening. How do they spell out? Anyway, just join me. It's fun. It's fun, Kuleko. Please come back. What keeps me going? I'm generally a positive person, and I think, Avela, this touches a little bit on your thing. I am generally an optimist. I'm a half full glass kind of person. You know, some people are just half empty glass. The glass is half empty. For me, the glass is always half full. So when I go through a situation, it doesn't matter how difficult it is. I mean, I always think there's life after it, and there's got to be a story of victory. And so I sort of have a thing about, why am I here? Why me? Why now? This is for me. I always think every challenge that comes, it comes for me, not against me. For me. It may be hard, it may be difficult, it may be, doesn't mean I don't cry about it. I may cry about it and so on, but I always think it is here for me. And then I must figure out, where is it taking me? And it's that sometimes helps me to refocus and relook. But it doesn't mean these things don't, you know, you don't get affected. I mean, 2020, I have to say, was pretty rough. You know, it was rough, and my children were asking me, so you fight for Black people for what? Look at what's happening to you. Why are you doing this? Why? You know, yeah. And then you have to explain to your children, who are adults, why you keep doing this. And there's many things that keep me going. I've asked myself that question about, if I shrink and run now, what am I saying? I have told myself, this thing that's going on has got nothing to do with me. It's got nothing to do with me. It's got everything to do with the fact that I am Black and I'm a woman. If I succeed in this job, the agenda to rubbish Black leadership fails, because people will keep saying, but Mamoketi this, but she's also Black, she's also whatever. So I convince myself all the time, this is really not about me. I just happen to be the girl with the ball now. They want the ball, so they have to chase me because I have the ball. But I really, I mean, and I look around the country. I mean, just look around the country. Which Black leader is not rubbished? Honestly, I just feel like my first sin is just being Black. Don't even go to the decisions that I make. Of course, if you're Black and you're willing to be managed, then it's easier, because then you get your sponsors, your managers, your puppet masters will make sure that you are protected. But I don't know. Yeah, so there are many times when I say, this has got nothing to do with me. It's the office, and the office does this. But of course, I can't also deny the fact that so when things get tough, and sometimes I feel like, hey man, I can just, kill myself and keep quiet, there's a hiding place that I can go to, and that I can go to as a refuge, as whatever. And yeah, so do I sometimes think about jumping ship? I can't, man, I can't. I want to be fired, man. I want to be fired. No, serious. I'm not here for myself. I'm not here for myself. I'm here for the institution. Serious. I'm here for the institution. So when the going gets rough and, I'm supposed to sleep and not wake up, I just wake up. Lipstick does amazing things. You should try it, Avela. It's amazing.
I have a collection. I just keep forgetting it.
You see, just try it. I mean, it does amazing things. I just say to myself, of course, people are talking. So please, aparapila, look beautiful so that they can talk about something else. If you notice, I changed my hair when the popper hit the fan. I cut my hair. I showed my gray hair. I started changing the color of my hair upright. So to give them something to talk about. Otherwise, they only have the newspaper. So they must content in Yana, So
yes.
So I do that, and then I say to myself, I'm here for the institution. It's not about me. I happen to be holding the seat now, but we are focused on the institution, so let's focus there. And as I said, a few people can rubbish you, and it can look like the whole world doesn't want to. There are always people who are saying, keep going, keep going, keep going. It's just that, the auditorium of supporters is always a silent auditorium. It doesn't make too much noise. But it is there. It is there. We just never have a sense how big it is. We just never have a sense. I always say, as long as I'm not doing anything illegal, I'm doing my job, I'm not stealing money, I'm jolly, I'm Puzi, I'm Chonchi, I'm doing my job. I mean, really, I'm focused on the institution. The other things we will see later. And so I try to focus in that way. And sometimes, of course, it's a way to disable you so that you don't have a voice. I mean, yeah, it's not easy, but I've decided I must focus. And at this time, I mean, they messed up my name so much. Why would I go? They're trying so hard. They must deal with it. I mean, they've called me names. So I'm here. I'm going to do the work, you know? I mean, why should you go? So do the work. But then also, you know, I have found great support, man, in Black women. I don't want to lie.
I'm so happy you're saying that, because I think
My
that
boss is a Black woman. She's very demanding. But as long as you do your work, she's clear. There's no politicking. There's no whatever. She wants the work done. She's got no time for noise. You know, I can handle the demands, but she's very clear. You know, so yeah, that support is important. There are Black women on the ground who are academics who I spend time with that are very supportive. And yeah, and there's many constituencies of people in the university who are very supportive. As I say, in every space, whenever there are voice of detractors, know that there are voices of supporters. It's just that you don't hear them, but they are there. If you find them, stick with them. During the time, all these times of turmoil, I mean, I have so many cards. I get flowers, I get whatever, sometimes from departments I don't even know. And then I get big bunches of flowers. I look at them. I even Google them. What is this department? I find that it's all white people or all Black people that I've never seen. And they say, we love you, we support you, we want you to stay. Please don't go. We love what you're doing here. In the midst of the journalist who is committed, you know, to bring me down, you know. So it's just that the newspaper has got a much louder voice, but there's a whole lot of people who are supportive. That doesn't mean it's not hard, but it is hard. Jump in the queue, patriarchy. Here's the thing: if you smash the glass ceiling, there's a lot of glass on the floor. So you've got to navigate the glass on the floor, because you smash. Those of us who are smashing the glass ceiling, damn, you got to watch where you step, man. Hey, you got to watch it. Patriarchy supports one another. Patriarchy. You know, when I say jump in the queue, I have been very fortunate to be able to jump the queue. And part of jumping the queue was that, guys, I work extra hard. You know, I've been sitting here since 5 o'clock this morning. I do that every damn day. Get up at 3 o'clock. I send people emails at 1 o'clock in the morning. You know, when I sleep, my laptop is there. If I wake up, spend 30 minutes not sleeping, I open it, I get on with the work. But it's been that way for many years. People said to me, it's going to burn out. I'm still waiting. Maybe it's coming. I've always thought, my mother said, if you work hard, you'll get there. So I try to get to the space and work in such a way that when I'm not there, they can miss me. I've always sort of thought, you've got to do that, or you come to the space. I mean, my biggest worry with many of our young people today, and I'm old, guys, I'm 54. By the end of this year, I'll qualify for early retirement. So young people, young Black people, and this is the thing about melanin, and I love, we must drive transformation, but I don't want our young people to think you just ride the transformation wave and you don't do the work. That is a big problem. We have that big problem. You want to hire Black people, they must deliver. We must deliver. We must show that we took this thing and we know what we are doing. If we don't know something, we're going to ask, we're going to find something, we're going to do this. So My only worry these days is that young people say no, but hard work is overrated. Our mothers work hard, but they're still poor. I understand that. But if you have a job, don't give me the argument of our mothers and so on. You have a job now. Do it convincingly. Make sure that when you are not there, they say, Avela is not here. We can't do this. We can feel her space, you know. And I've jumped the queue in that way. To try to be ahead of the game. It's not that I can do everything, but it's to always go an extra mile and be, you know, it's like I also try not to have a sense of importance. And that's why I'm saying I'm quite happy to be fired. If I'm doing something wrong, please, they can fire me. I'll go back. I have a substantial position in the university. I'll go back and be a professor in the faculty. I'll go teach if they fire me as VC. You know, is that a step down? Absolutely not. I'm going to be the most amazing teacher that I've always been, you know, in class. But so I don't have a problem going to residences, meeting with students, and then when they're angry, they still scream at me. It's fine. I'm coming back again tomorrow. No, it's like, you know, you can do things differently that other people don't do, and whatever. See, Ayanda says, how do you define a successful career? It doesn't exist. You never reach success. The day you reach success is the day mediocrity sets in. We just have achievements on the journey to success. The journey to success keeps going, Ayanda, but that's my definition. We never get there. By definition, we are not supposed to get to the point of just success. We keep chasing it, and that's just how it goes. Avela, thank you so much. Thank you to BMF Ekurhuleni. Thank you for inviting me. I always feel at home at BMF. Every time I do something that's crazy, I think, yo, what is BMF going to say? And then I talk to my advisor. I'm like, hey, talk to BMF. Tell them what I'm doing here so that they understand what I'm doing. I do. BMF is one of the constituencies that what will BMF be saying? Yo, we must brief them. This is the reason why this is happening. There's a bigger dream here. There's no short-termism. So thank you very much for your care. And for inviting me and for the conversation today.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Phakeng. As you can see, there's more than enough questions to still go in the chat. So we do hope that you'll be returning soon. I want to quickly call on the chairperson of the province to do a vote of thanks before we close. Chairperson, my leader.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. I think you stayed way past what we had hoped. We thank you. I think, and just what you said, I'm blown away as usual. Career versus a job. You said you've got to have a bigger vision than your job. And I loved how you said you always think that the challenge is for you. I mean, that's resilience right there. So really lots of takeaways for me. I made notes. This session was recorded. We really want to thank you for taking your time to come and share with us your life story. We've had you in Gauteng, we've had you for the second time, but always new pearls that we get from you. And thank you to the audience that attended. We know that besides the amazing speaker that we had, you have a love for BMF. Please sign up, join if you're not a member. Dumisa is the chair of Ekurhuleni. He's looking forward to being your chairperson. Thank you so much. And thanks, Avela, for such an amazing job as a facilitator. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Should I go, Avela?
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. Wow.
Wow. I just want to make a note that you've inspired change, and I'm sure not the only person. Lungelwa has just realized that she made a money decision and not a career decision. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say what's wrong with the money decisions. It's because you never make enough money, you know. Money disputes are not sustainable. You always want to make the next one and the next one, you know?
Yeah.
They don't last. They're nice for a moment, you know, they buy you more shoes and stuff, you know, but.
But then you've got to build a bigger house to house
You
the
know?
And to compensate for the feelings, of course.
Do you compensate for the misery or
No. You see, I've got crazy kids. When it's miserable, they go like, let's go to Atlantis Dunes, ma. We're gonna jump off I've got a Jeep. We're gonna jump from the Jeep to the ground. So we go there, we drive, we jump. We jump from the car, we go to the top of the car, we jump down. And they go, yes, let's do that. Yes. You know, you don't need a pair of shoes. That's enough, man.
Incredible.
For the stress. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prof. Much appreciated. And I'm hoping that we'll continue the conversations as well, and much appreciated. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Avela. Thanks, Dumisa.
Bye-bye.